Uh,
Hey, we're gonna let everybody file in here for a few, and we'll start up in about 3 minutes. Hang tight. All right, you guys, how's everybody doing today? If you all don't mind sharing the space, let's try to fill this up as much as possible. We've got some serious legends in the house here today, and I'm excited to get started. I'm gonna spread this link out a little bit more, share it in some group chats, all that stuff. We'll start in a minute here. Just gonna drop this in a few more chats, try to get as many people in here as possible because this is some good stuff today, people. All right, welcome. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good to have you all with me today. Let's see. One quick second. All right, we'll start in just a minute. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome. Today we've got some legends in the house. We've got Chris DeWolfe, we've got Johnny from Champions, and we've got Keystone Protocol. Say hi, guys.
Hey, folks.
hey, everybody. Great to be here.
What's
What's
up,
going on?
everybody?
What's up? There's a lot happening in Champions Land, so there's a lot to unpack. We're going to try to unpack it in a reasonably quick period of time because this is the first of probably a regular thing that we'll be doing here. Do you guys want to do intros? We seriously, it's actually amazing that I'm gonna just backtrack for a second here. I'm gonna gush a little bit. I put out a post about 2 months ago when I realized who was behind Champions, and I was like kind of testing the waters to see if anybody could guess who the team was. And literally no one guessed, which means that like these guys have literally had their heads down just doing stuff for the last couple of years in the space without people even truly realizing what is happening here, which is actually really shockingly amazing. We've got Chris DeWolfe. Chris is the co-founder of MySpace, former CEO. MySpace sold to Fox in 2006 or something for over $500 million. They stayed on. Him and Aber stayed on to run the company until 2009, and then they left to start Jam City, a mobile games company, in 2009. This guy's literally seen the future for decades. And Jam City's had what, Chris, billions of downloads?
Yeah, several billion downloads. It was over 450 million in revenue. We had many top grossing games worldwide, and this was with Johnny was obviously a big part of the team, our chief creative officer there. My other partner Aber, who wasn't able to make it today. This is my fourth company with him. All three of the previous companies we've had have been very, very successful. But yeah, we know how to make games. We've made games for 13, 14 years very successfully in the Web 2 and mobile space. And we got very, very excited about Web 3, 3, 4 years ago.
So what got you sucked into Web3? Because I know that there was a blockchain mining company that you may be involved in. I want to get like some backstory so we can set the stage for where you're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fundamental promise of Web3 is that players can own their assets. And then there's also the whole process of building the game or the entertainment experience that is much more successfully done if it's done with the community. So, to your point earlier, we just started building very early, and we weren't promoting crypto when everyone else was promoting crypto. We were building game, building community, getting feedback from community, making sure we could all share about sharing it together, get the right feedback from them, and continue to grow the game and the user base. And we had over 1,000 employees at Jam City, and
Jeez.
there was one day where we had an all hands meeting, and I said, hey, we're going to go to Web3, and like I'd love to try and transform the company to Web3, and it didn't go over that well because as you may or may not know, there was over the last several years there's been somewhat of a difference between folks that are very, very focused on Web 1, Web 2 games, and then Web 3 games looking into the future where folks can participate in the community, own their own assets, give valuable feedback, and share in the economy. And so,
So you saw it obviously because you're
yeah,
here, which is awesome, and I'm stoked that you're here. And then, but you were getting pushback from your team and your co-founder. So then you went out and you actually like raised money to start something again.
yeah,
Part of my question is, how are you just not going to go sit on a beach at this point? Why are you here? What are you doing? This is awesome.
this is awesome. It's fun. And so, yeah, Johnny was a big part of it because we were always shoulder to shoulder at Jam City with Aber, and we're always looking into the future, looking for any kind of macro sort of trends that are out there. So I could take it back to the MySpace days, which most of the folks probably on the line don't want to hear a lot about that, but we always like to look at macro trends. So back then it was everyone had broadband access, everyone had a phone, and they were taking pictures, and every phone had a camera. They were taking photos on the phone. They needed to new fun ways to communicate with that. And uh, so we launched MySpace, and it grew up, and it became the largest trafficked website in the world, like literally more page views, more time spent than Google, Yahoo, anywhere else.
It's wild.
And
And there was hundreds of millions of accounts on there. I mean, it was like
yeah,
the de facto
yeah,
thing back in the day.
yeah, and it was only web. This is kind of pre-mobile. So like we saw that, and then like during that time, after we sold to at the time it was News Corp at Fox, and I guess it's now Disney.
Yeah.
One of the fastest growing activities on MySpace was gaming, and we quickly realized that there was a huge underserved market in gaming. If some of you folks may remember, like Farmville and like the folks from Zynga and those guys, they all had games on MySpace, and they were making massive amounts of money. And so we kind of saw the future, and it was around the time when the first iPhones were coming out, and so there was going to be this democratization of gaming for everyone. So if you were, a 14-year-old that wants to play casual games, if you're a 16-year-old that wants to play first-person shooter games, like all of this was going to be accessible to you on a mobile device, because everyone would have a mobile device or console, I should say, in their pocket. And that's what Aber, Johnny, and I set out to build, and we did. And we did it very, very successfully over many years. Mr. VonDoom, we may have.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I said it was a Harry Potter game. There was you guys have had like your hands in some really, really solid IP back in the Jam City days.
Yeah, we had a huge Harry Potter game. It was the first piece of IP actually from Harry Potter it was written by Johnny's team. They
No way.
wrote all of the lore, and it was the first piece of content that had come out. Not to speak for you, Johnny, but first piece of content to come out in many years, maybe even a few decades, and it was fantastic. There's also a game called Cookie Jam Panda Pop. Many IP-based games, and then many pieces of content and IP that we created ourselves, and have written, many novels about our games. And we have much lore on Champions Ascension. We have a full game published on that, and we always think it's a great idea to start with the lore first. So you always have a straight path to go whenever you're rolling out a new feature or a new world. And for the folks that are on right now that are more crypto oriented, like games are very, very content oriented, and they're very live operations oriented, meaning you don't just build a game once. You are always updating content. You're always updating new experience. You're always making it fun. You're adding new technology and features. So yes, all that is very important. And yeah,
That's
Johnny.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can add to that. I think too, in the previous question that you asked, VonDoom, which is like, why are we here and what are we doing here? Jam City and mobile games overall and the free-to-play market on mobile is a super mature business model. It's something that we rode the wave of for quite a while. We knew how to launch games. We knew how to build games. We knew how to kind of support games in live operation, as Chris says. We knew how to draw people to games. But at the same time, like, as I said, it's a mature business, and we're immature folks. So,
that's why you fit in. That's why you're perfect for crypto Twitter.
We this is true entrepreneurship. So, crypto gaming and the concept behind crypto gaming, player ownership, it's not a safe space. It's not a mature business. It's not something that's been solved for and figured out and copied 50,000 times. There's very few examples of true lightning in a bottle success. There's been some success stories out there, but I think there's a lot left to figure out.
Oh,
and that's the kind of place that we're excited to be.
And you guys went and you built a AAA game. It's completed. It's live. There's an ecosystem that's constantly being built out. You got players in the game right now battling it out. This is literally the opposite of what like the vast majority of the space did. You guys started with a great game first and then went out and got venture money. Now you're partnered with Keystone for this protocol that we're going to get into in a little bit here too. And I mean, that's unlike anything else that's in the space. So let's talk about that for a few.
For sure, we're in a very new space. We were sorry to go back in the past, but
No, the past is good. It's super relevant because like one of
yeah,
the things that I think is
yeah.
important to establish is your collective level of wins
Yeah.
more so than anyone else in the space has.
So again, it's like it's thinking through a process of macro trends that are happening and not trying to take the creative gut feeling out of it, because that's incredibly important too. And more than anything, that's what Johnny brings to the table. But I think we also bring a very process-oriented focus to this. So again, going back to MySpace, none of that had ever been done. People were on these strange photo sharing sites. They were using IM to communicate. They were, it just wasn't, none of that was fun. And we wanted to make all of that fun. We wanted to give people a home online. And this was, far before Facebook. And by the time we left MySpace, we were quite a bit bigger than Facebook at the time. And then we also noticed, again, as I had mentioned before, that there were a lot of underserved folks out there from a gaming perspective. A lot of people don't know this, but gaming is way bigger than the movie, TV industry. Every other entertainment genre combined together, gaming dwarfs this. And so, we said that everyone was going to have a console in their pocket, and that's why we started Jam City. And we think that democratizing the creation of games and involving community in the games, giving folks ownership in their assets in the games was an incredibly important step moving forward. And Web3 allowed us to do that. And from that point, I was just completely all in. We've seen games in the past where there's a black market for certain assets that you may own in the game that you can buy and sell. But there's no reason for it to be a black market. And
doesn't have to be.
Share in the economy, should share in the fun. That's the awesome thing about it. It's fun. We build it with our community. And I think Johnny also alluded to this, is that user acquisition, and for those of you that don't know what user acquisition is, it's essentially spending money on marketing to bring new folks into your game, which is basically how mobile gaming works. It's becoming very, very expensive and very ineffective. So, you could spend $50 on a new player that may play for a few weeks, have nothing really invested other than a few weeks of fun, and then they may be on to their next game. And we truly want to be partnered up with our community partners, and that's what Web3 allows for. The mobile gaming stuff, as Johnny mentioned, is super mature and didn't allow for that. And the protocol comes in here very soon, as it helps a lot with building community, bringing everyone from the community into the mix, including guilds and owners and game developers and the whole lot of all.
Yeah, it's solving for X on a lot of different things. And I mean, I've said for years, like, mass adoption is going to come through gaming. There's zero question about it in my mind, and it's never been clearer than it is right now. So let's talk a bit about let's hear from Keystone. Let's talk a little about the protocol and what it does for games, what it does for players, and how it's taking advantage of the tech, and how it's going to drive adoption into these games that are going to be part of the protocol.
Yeah, so thank you, VonDoom. This is a great forum, and I'm glad to be here to talk a little bit about it. So, you mentioned the exit of MySpace to News Corp, but beyond the jaw-dropping exit and huge success of MySpace, long before Facebook, these guys understand the value of networks and the value of community. And if you're going to grow, it's not by buying users or, to put the Web3 hat on, basically incentivizing a bunch of locusts to come to your game, farm it, extract, and then move on to the next one. you want to be able to provide a virtuous loop where each persona in an ecosystem has a chance to participate and also grow their own networks and bring their own people in to enjoy the fun. So, the protocol focuses on 4 personas, and these 4 personas are integrated into Champions Ascension. And I invite the folks listening to look at the light paper on KeystoneFoundation.io and also look at the Champions.io website light paper on how they've integrated this protocol. But at the essence of the protocol are the people. It's the community. And how do they work with one another? How do they incentivize one another? How do they create these virtuous cycles, these virtual loops, to be able to grow their community, but also participate in the economic activity that they manifest? So we have obviously our gamers that come in and play the games. We've got our creators, because the man on the screen here, Chris DeWolfe, literally created user-generated content on the MySpace platform. So we've got creators with all the tools associated with bringing in a new content. We've got curators, because as there's a proliferation of content, some of it's better than others, right? So you need some mechanism by which the people of the community can say, hey, check this out. This is super cool. And then have other people who are in that curator's community follow them and realize that it is. And then our 4th persona is the amplifier. These are the folks that own what we're calling nodes, but the node is really it's the parlance of crypto, but it's really a key to the protocol. And if you own one of our nodes, you can actually help drive these users, all of these personas, to be able to interact with one another and drive traffic to the website. So the benefit is that the games on our protocol get users, as Chris was describing and as Johnny was describing, the problems with Web3, paying Facebook ads or Google ads for very ineffective use of capital, as well as you're not even getting the best players. This is a way where anybody that is involved in these games, likes these games, can go out and amplify, go evangelize what's happening in these games, and then be compensated for the fact that they've brought these people in. So, it provides economic incentives as well as sort of gamification of their user base. So, everyone loves to have more followers. Everybody loves to have more likes and more tweets and all the rest of it. So this is effectively bringing the best of the domain expertise of the MySpace team into the Web3 world. So we've got the socialization, we've got the viral nature of bringing new players in. But in the biggest difference between Web 2 and Web 3 in this context is Mark Zuckerberg gets all the money when you grow your Facebook network, whereas in this case, it's going to be shared amongst the community. And that's the unique aspect of Web 3 with respect to this protocol.
Yeah, that's a Web 3 ethos right there at its heart.
Exactly right.
I love it.
And I'm not sure if we properly explained how Champions Ascension is different from.
Yeah, we got to do that. Let's get into that too,
and what Brian does and everything on the Keystone Foundation.
Yeah. So the protocol.
Oh, we got it, Chris. I think you're hot mic.
Sorry. So the protocol. We're a nonprofit, Cayman-based foundation that has the technology, the blockchain, the eventual token, and all the technology that manages these games. And then Champions Ascension is the first game to integrate this protocol. So we plan to go out and give grants of tokens to new projects. So to the degree anybody in our community or listening right now has good ideas, the community is going to be able to make suggestions through the foundation to be able to approve for integration or future integration additional games or even frankly even dApps. But we're focused on gaming right now because the protocol is set up principally for gaming. But that's how we work together. But we are in fact different companies, but joined at the hip.
So we're
awesome.
So Champions Ascension is the first customer for the Keystone protocol, and we're currently integrating that
into the game now. That's awesome. And I actually, Brian, I pinned the white paper to the top here. So if y'all want to check it out, click on that link and you could dig in and read read through the GigaBrain white paper that's been drafted. And,
Yeah, and the light paper on the Champions website, VonDoom, is also it's sometimes when you see a tangible example of how the protocol is being integrated into an actual game, it actually comes out. So you'll see each of those personas. So, for example, Johnny, help me out. The amplifier is the
yes, we
Go ahead.
can we as Chris mentioned before, we love lore, and lore is a huge part of Champions Ascension. So we had to championify everything that the Keystone Protocol's personas, mean to kind of represent. So yes, our amplifiers are of course our maestros. For those of you who have played the game, maestros, or the concept of a maestro, is that mastermind, the person who's kind of behind the scenes, knows everything there is to know, knows how to put things together, knows how to build a strategy around their asset pool, their friends, knows how to kind of deploy all of the information and share information with the rest of the community so that you guys can strategically, achieve things together, right? Our ringmasters are kind of those curators. So, as Brian mentioned earlier, as the Keystone Foundation mentioned earlier, there's people out there who are just great at kind of getting the word out there and drawing people into the game, and can really spread the word and develop great content, in terms of like videos and tutorials. And you guys have been doing that, since the dawn of the game. First gameplay footage we ever showed, some of you are already out there doing that, and so ringmasters are kind of the way that we facilitate that. Of course, our players, which are going to be the biggest pool, are our battle masters. Those of you who come into our arena, play the game, fight to win rewards now, that you may find more meaningful than the ones that were there prior. So that's our battle masters. And then, of course, and this is where creation takes on a whole new phase in terms of UGC, or creating actual content for the game, is with our alchemists, right? And alchemy, and building things like the towers and different types of builds, and the way we're putting together crystals and champions and all the new things that we have coming over the course of the year. That's our alchemy pool. And there you go. That's the personas built in the Champions Ascension.
And if you want to go to the light paper on the website, you can see user flows. So you'll see how those loops work with one another. And what we envision, especially in Champions, that there will be collaborations, and the mechanism, the technology exists to enable these collaborations, where you can envision players that follow curators because they always have the coolest content. And then curators partner with creators to say, hey, I've got a community that loves and trusts what I like, what I like. So why don't we work together to make sure that your content gets to the highest levels and gets the most attention? And then all of that augurs to the amplifiers that sort of own the network through the nodes. So that's the loop, the multiple loops that we envision integrating.
So at the risk of sounding repetitive, I'm a very simple person. What we've done with Champions is we've hardened the protocol from Brian's group, and we've tested it. We've made sure that it works, and we know that it can work in many, many different genres. And we're using all of our experience from the past to reach out to all of our contacts, everyone we know in the gaming industry, the tens of thousands of gaming companies, to allow Brian to reach out through the Keystone Foundation to those folks, to allow them to use this amazing protocol that they've built. And in a perfect world, everyone in the world, every gaming company in the world will be using this protocol, regardless if it's like a bingo game, a first-person shooter game, or whatever it may be.
So there's like an unlimited type of potential games that could be on this in a year or two.
For sure. Sorry, I'm not going to talk for you, Brian, but that's how I see it. And that's why we joined with this protocol.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And obviously, like if you guys are partnered up, understanding how networks and network effects work, I would imagine that your contacts are, yeah, I mean, you're opening up your contact base to this too, which is a massive get for Keystone. So that's actually pretty amazing, and that's bullish as hell. Brian, what benefits can you share about the foundation and about the protocol that would be available for gamers and game makers?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Chris hit on it. You know, we are extremely fortunate to be able to align ourselves with a team like the Roughhouse Games Champions Ascensions team, which incidentally is backed by A16Z and Coinbase Ventures. And this is actually not widely understood that the best and brightest in the venture capital world has backed these guys in this Web3 venture of theirs. So what we hope to do, VonDoom, is to get more and more games of the caliber of Champions and Roughhouse to use the protocol. Because again, the biggest problem that all of these games face is users. And once we have a marquee game like Champions, which gets the word out, allows people to grow, and I think it's acceptable to announce that YGG is one of our partners on the Node side. So they're out there going to be driving, all of their users in their communities to the Champions game. And once those users realize how fun Champions is, and they're sticky, happy, players inside the Champions ecosystem, that actually lives inside of the Keystone Foundation ecosystem. So if we brought in a new game, it's just as easy to take those users that were playing Champions and play any of the other games that are on the protocol. So once you have a flywheel spinning with an installed base of gamers, I think that the momentum behind bringing on new games for that very reason is going to start to pick up. So if you think about the advantages, it's really user acquisition. That's what this is. It allows, and by the way, it's a butt for every seat. So if you're not a hardcore battler, if you're not a first-person shooter, but you like making skins, there's a seat for you. If you just like finding good stuff and telling people about it, there's a seat for you. So that's the benefit of coming inside of this ecosystem.
So it really is a solve for X for every single area that a game developer would need.
I like that. I'm going to write that one down.
With a built-in economy as well. So are you balancing economies for games? The economies would need to be set up for by the game studio themselves, how the game mechanic, the core loops and so forth. But certainly the allocation of the rewards and the issuance of the tokens inside the game would all be done on chain. Yeah. So you guys can go and kind of help, because there's so many like just mobile games and Web2 games that I would imagine that are at least passively looking at getting into blockchain. This could be a perfect scenario for them.
100%. And most of those games already have their core loop, so they're
already built out. Yeah.
Points or whatever. Yeah. It would just be the same. So yeah. Yes.
Sorry. It's such a good point. I'm so close to the ecosystem. And anyone can read any of the public reports from, the public gaming companies. They're canceling games. There's very little investment in new Web 1 and Web 2 games. And like all of these folks are like hungry to get into something new, but they're not exactly sure how to do it. And we've spent the last 3 years figuring out how to do it. And as has Brian. And so we've built our game, and we've been looking for foundations to partner with, and we're partnering with them. And there's going to be a massive network effect around that, given what's going on in the general industry.
That's massive. So obviously, if there's nodes and an economy and Web3, there's probably a token.
There is a token. There will be a token, I should say.
I gotta ask.
Of course. And it's funny, everyone dances around this topic. Yes. So stay tuned. Hasn't been announced yet. Keep your notifications but we're obviously there's a lot going on. We're trying to let the community know in as near real time as possible, but we have to be prudent and methodical as this all reveals itself. But we're working diligently on a number of different fronts, and so nothing's been announced yet, but stay tuned.
Well, I hate to correct you there, but I just saw an announcement go out, and I'm proud to say and excited to say to the Champions faithful that 1% of the Keys tokens are going to be allocated to Prime Eternal users. So, love all you guys. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We got some tokens coming to you. Now, that's not necessarily the tokens that are going to be circulated in the game. There's going to be more ways to earn. As we've talked about, there's a lot of different things that we've kind of cooked up that you can read about on the website, how we're going to integrate the protocol, how we're going to integrate different sources and sinks, or forges and furnaces, as we call them in Champions Ascension. But big announcement. Our claim site goes live Monday, the pre-claim site. So it's going to allow you guys to go on there and make sure you get your allocation that you've been generously awarded. So when the token comes, you'll be ready to accept it.
Yeah. I pinned your announcement to the spaces as well, Johnny. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. And by the way, as you guys can read in the Keystone Light paper, part of what we're doing with our community rewards pool is giving Genesis NFT holders of games that integrate the protocol airdrop tokens as effectively a thank you, as a as a way to get you into these games and participating in the ecosystem. And we were thrilled to make the award to champions and all of the Prime Eternal holders. So stay tuned for more information there.
I like it. All right. Well, I mean, we unpacked a lot here, guys. I know we'll do this again soon. I do want to do a longer space next time and get Chris when Aber's around too. And it'd be great to just get into some of the background. I'm sure there's like crazy OG MySpace stories that you could share, crazy OG Jam City stories, and we can talk about champions as well, obviously, because that's the current thing. Do you guys have any? You guys want to close it out? Any closing thoughts? Last minute pieces of news you might want to share? Alpha, what do you got?
Well, one thing I got is like if any of you folks that are on right now are going to be at IBS Crypto in Kyoto, I'll be there from probably the 3rd through the 6th. So would love to find any of you there and meet up, give you more information. Unfortunately, Brian, I don't think will be there. Need to check with him on that. But yeah, would love to catch up with all of you in Kyoto. This is going to be a great show there. Sponsoring a big dinner there. And we're fully into the space and reach out to me at any time. And like this was awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm stoked you're here. I can't believe that I've been around this for like 4 years and I didn't realize that you guys were doing this. It's so rad that you guys just kind of continue to put your heads down. Like I've look, I've met Chris a few times. I've known these guys for on and off for a long time. I've known about them for even longer, and like literally like the most humble people you'll ever come across. Like you would have no idea the level of accomplishments that this guy has done and this team has done until you start getting into a conversation. And the like, I can't emphasize the level of humbleness that's here. It's great that they're here. It's great for the space. I'm completely stoked that you guys are building here. It's awesome.
Sorry, one final thing. We're very inspired by this is going to sound weird, but by the Finland gaming community, because they like to share all information with each other.
I love that.
Sorry?
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so they share it all together. It's not super competitive. And I feel like Web3 is sort of following that model in a big way, in that Brian's worked with, knows tons of Web3 folks. We do, I do, Johnny does, and we all share information. And it's like a rising tide. Rising tide lifts all boats, I guess, is the right term. And that's another amazing thing about Web3. And so we're if there are any competitors out there, or not really competitors, it's like we're all here to work together. We have
colleagues.
Protocol. Brian's got a protocol for everyone to push out there. So super psyched. Looking forward to you guys reaching out and getting more involved with
it's awesome, man.
this community.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Johnny, Brian, final thoughts of the day?
No, I would just say, echo what Chris said. I think it's exactly right. The ethos is way more collaborative. It's not zero sum. It's not your loss is my win and vice versa. So, there may be games out there that are struggling. There may be Web3 games that want to launch their own token. We can work with you. We can even have a native token. There's protocol that we're developing now to enable you to have your own native token while still using our back end.
Really?
Or maybe you just want to build on the Keystone protocol. But it's worth having a conversation. Reach out on the website, or via Telegram, or here on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you.
I love it. Johnny?
All I'll add, guys, is Champion's going to continue to build. We're going to keep shipping amazing content for you guys. Keep iterating on the game. Keep making it better each month with each new build. And you guys are still a big part of that. For those of you out there who haven't been around the arena in a while, get your asses back on the sand. Time to bleed with me. Bleeding is believing. See you in the arena.
See you in the arena. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate the time today.
VonDoom.
Mr. VonDoom, we know you're a very busy man. Thank you for doing this.
We know you're a very busy man, too. Thank you, and safe travels to Kyoto, and we'll do this again soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. See ya. Bye.